And welcome to another edition of The Rundown here on a Monday afternoon. New time, same faces. David, Ethan, and Ian, the Dream Weaver, here joining us on the airwaves. 1570 AM, campstudentradio.com. We have a lot to unpack here in the sports world. Pick segment, finally, Ethan, got myself going. I mean, it's been brutal. I come on the mic, I have a lot of confidence, I have conviction, and I just wasn't justifying it with my record.
And I think because you have that conviction, people will listen to you.
Yeah.
And so if the people out there are listening to you, they're not doing too well.
No, they were doing really poorly.
However, this week looked great.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And so let's recap where we all stood and how it played out. Now, Dream Weaver, who we're going to get to, he's in first place.
It's a dream for him.
So it's been a dream start, no question about that. Ian has to be feeling really good about himself. Frankly, there's no other way to feel. I mean, if you ever played high school sports, you know, the quarterback throws a game-winning touchdown. Maybe he goes back to a party. He's the most popular guy in the room. That's kind of where Ian is right now.
He's not just throwing the game-winning touchdown, though. He's winning the game the whole time.
Yeah,
he's in full possession of it.
In full control. And the Arizona Wildcats weren't in full control on Saturday, but they got it done when it mattered most. And that's actually been, believe it or not, I actually read some of what Ian's been writing for the Daily Wildcat in preparation for his guest spot here. And Ian, you make a great point. I want to get your take on this. Arizona in the fourth quarter, they've actually been a good team, right? You even look at their losses. BYU, they're in a position to win, they lost, so that doesn't count. But Houston down 28-14, unable to win, but played the better quarter. And then they were by far the better team in the fourth quarter against Kansas. And both teams had chances to put it away, right? Kansas is inside the 20. They settle for a 30-yard field goal. Doesn't go. Arizona, but even if they make it looks like Arizona's still going to win that game, having gone down the field and scoring a touchdown. But what did you think of the final drive, and how do you assess Arizona's victory, Ian?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I think that, this Arizona team this year has shown a lot of fight. I think, in a couple games, they've been down in the fourth quarter and have rallied back. Unfortunately, in the BYU game and in the Houston game, it's been, unfortunately, a loss for them. But I'm glad that they got 6 wins and are going to be able to go to a bowl game because they've showed a lot of fight and exceeded my expectations this season. I don't know about you guys, but they've done, in my opinion, pretty good this season with how they were projected in the beginning of the season. But as far as the fourth quarter, that last drive, I was really impressed with how they executed in crunch time.
Yeah, and the one thing that I would say to add to that, right, if we're talking about preseason expectations, here's where I had them, Ian. Fluctuating between 6 and 7 victories, and I'm not making a Gen Z joke. I legitimately wasn't sure if they were going to go 6-6 or 7-5. But I leaned 7-5, right? And maybe I was being optimistic, but it was almost out of a place of necessity. With Brent Brennan being in his second season last year, the team had a lot of talent. They underwhelmed catastrophically, right? I mean, this team came up way short of expectations last year. I felt that they had another underwhelming season with talent capable of winning, that it would be too much to handle. So I really expected them to be bowl eligible. Like I said, I thought they'd be in that 7-5 range, but now I think it's 6-6. 7-5 would be a little bit of a disappointment. I think 8-4 kind of has to be your target here because absolutely the toughest game is the one that's next. Cincinnati on the road, they're a 6.5-point underdog. But when you come back home against Baylor, I think that's one you can grab. And then on the road against a backup quarterback in Arizona State, I'm looking here and I'm thinking 8-4. You think that's unrealistic, Ian?
I don't think that's unrealistic at all. I think that they can absolutely beat Arizona State. Arizona State hasn't looked that good this season, and obviously a rivalry game is always, up in the air as to who wins. So, I think they can absolutely get 2 more wins out of the next 4 games.
But, Ethan, the one thing that was a little bit troubling is a common theme here for the Wildcats, right? Stopping running quarterbacks, whether it was
all season.
Whether it was Houston, BYU, or then Daniels on Saturday. And one thing, Ian, that we didn't know was we were very confused on this. We got conflicting information in the camp booth. Jalen Daniels and Jaden Daniels are not related.
No, they
are not. Now, our booth was
was
very confused about that. We were not sure if they were brothers. We didn't know if they were cousins. We were lost.
Well,
turns out there's no relation.
Here's the story.
Let's hear the story.
So David splits apart from the rest of us because he has
the Roadrunners.
He has his Tucson Roadrunners game. You can check him out there. He splits apart from the camp broadcasting team. We all go to the.
This is postgame.
This is postgame, correct? We all go to the press box for the press conference with Quincy Craig, who scored the winning touchdown, with Tay Brown, who made a couple of big plays on the other side of the ball, with Brett Brennan afterwards as well. And I leave the booth early because I'm hungry. I've been there all day. So
Now,
I
they
didn't
did feed us.
Yes, they did, but I got hungry, and it's a long game.
And
like
by the way,
4
much better
hours.
to be fed on that outside balcony overlooking the entire
Yeah,
campus.
that-
Not a bad view.
That view is spectacular. Anyways, back to the story. I'm leaving the press box, and Jalen Daniels is just standing right there talking to another Kansas employee for the
Right.
football team.
Why do you say another? You're not a Kansas employee.
No, just some random
Okay.
Kansas employee. And I go up to him and I say, "Hey, great game today. Hope
Yeah.
you get drafted." And I was like, "Thanks, bro." Or he was like, "Thanks,
Right.
bro."
Wow.
And he's like, "That's much love." And I told him, "Hey, you're gonna be better than your brother one day. He better watch out." And he was like, "Ha ha ha!" He laughed it off.
Yeah.
I go and look it up afterwards, and they're not related.
They're not related.
So that's just humiliating on my part.
Now, is it possible, best case scenario for you, right? Perhaps he thinks you guys are from the same town. His brother was a very good athlete. Maybe he's played somewhere. I don't know if he's a CFL legend or something. But maybe there's a world where his brother is a good football player, but not Jaden Daniels. Or, in all likelihood, this is the real answer. He thinks you're completely clueless, brushed you off as some crazy guy in the stadium who doesn't know what he's talking about. And he just, all right.
The second option is probably more realistic. He was probably
Right.
like, who in the world is this kid, and why does he think I'm related to
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels? No ball knowledge for this kid.
No ball knowledge indeed. And somebody who has a lot of ball knowledge is Dream Weaver. Let's be honest about that. And let's get to the standings now. This is the student media pick segment. I want to give Dream Weaver his flowers because he's putting in hard work. I have on good authority hours of statistical reasoning, analytics. Is that accurate, Dream Weaver?
Well, I listen to a lot of like football podcasts. So
Okay? So now we got to know. If you're not listening to the rundown, because if you're let's be honest, Ethan, unless you're listening to DC, if you're listening to the rundown, you're broke.
Yeah, you're not
Even
making
if you
a
were a
pretty penny.
millionaire
You're
coming into the
actually losing
season,
money.
you're losing everything you have.
Yeah.
So
the rundown is not
obviously,
the spot.
Dreamweaver, obviously you're not listening to the rundown. So where are you getting your information, and should we follow suit? And is this
Well,
cheating?
I don't think it's cheating.
Okay.
The information's out there for everyone.
That's right.
But I listen to like a lot of the Ringer podcast network.
Bill
you know that?
Simmons. Bill Simmons runs that.
Bill
right?
Simmons and.
But he's a basketball guy.
Well, he knows about football too.
He's a
but
Patriots
They
fan.
have picks, and then the Ringer like Shil Kapadia. Do you know? who
Yeah,
that is?
I don't.
So I like them. I listen to like a lot. They make picks, but I make my picks before they make their picks. So
Okay, so you're not really benefiting.
I'm not
too
really
much.
benefiting. Like I listen to some of their shows on the weekends, and then the picks I usually send on Friday.
Yeah.
So I usually I listen to like all their podcasts throughout the week, and make my own decision on the best
Okay.
pick.
Now for those who aren't in the studio, Dream Weaver is wearing this nice, very colorful tie-dye T-shirt. And when I look at it, Dreamweaver, I got to be honest here. Your T-shirt is my brain when I'm trying to make picks right now. All over the place, scrambled mess. Can't make any sense of it. I think there's good data out there, but I just am having a hard time sorting through it all. It seemed like this week I finally put things together with a 5-1 record, but I don't know why I'm bragging to you going 5-1 because for you 5-1 is just another Sunday. I mean, let's be honest about that.
I think we have to know if there is one. What is the strategy? Because you've been so
I
strong
would
in
be
the
curious
picks.
to know.
Yeah, if you have one.
Well, that's
Now,
nice
you don't have to give up
that's
any
nice of
state
you guys
secrets,
to say.
right?
I don't know. I just kind of look at just think about how they've played in the past and what I've heard over the week. But if I want to talk about my picks a little bit,
Let's do
I
it.
picked Baltimore minus 4.5
So did Ethan.
at the Vikings. Yeah, that was.
Great pick. They were in control of the game the entire time. That was my one and
They
only
were.
NFL
They
pick.
were, but
Yeah.
Ian, let's be honest about this. They were in control, but Minnesota has the ball late with an opportunity to do something, right? It's not like it was a blowout. Yes, they won by 8 points, but the Vikings were right there. I think they got to almost midfield, down by 8, but they couldn't make anything happen when it mattered most.
Yeah, that's true. But I just making the pick, I just thought about how Baltimore, if they want to have a chance even at the playoffs, they have to win out.
Right.
So I wasn't expecting.
And the Steelers looked awful. How bad did they look on Sunday?
Yeah, that's
now
another
let's talk about. So
conversation.
you say win out, and I do think the Ravens are feeling urgency, but I think win out is a stretch. They're only 1 game behind Pittsburgh. They still have 2 games to play against the Steelers. So I think the Ravens, all they got to do is sweep Pittsburgh, and that's their division, no question about it.
Yeah, when they were 1-5, everyone was panicking, and they were still favored
And now
to
they won
win the
3 straight.
AFC North. But now they're looking good, looking pretty.
Yep.
But yeah, so I was not really trusting J.J. McCarthy. I think he is a good player and will be a good player. But prior to last week, he only had 1 good quarter out of 8 quarters
Yeah,
against
that's
the
correct.
Bears. So I wasn't really trusting him, and I just trust Lamar Jackson being back and healthy. And after the Baltimore early in the season, they had a lot of injuries, but they also after all those injuries, they had a lot of healthy guys come back. So
Their
this game,
defense has specifically gotten healthy, right?
Yeah,
Now, the
exactly.
one thing I kept pushing back on it, and people like Ethan, and it seems like they were right and I was wrong, But Ethan would say, oh, you got to believe in the Ravens, whatever it may be. And this is what I said, Dreamweaver. I said, yes, the Ravens have had injuries. I acknowledge that. But they were healthy week 1, and the Buffalo Bills scored 41 points against them, right? Everybody's healthy week 1. And then from there, who knows what happens. But that first game, they did give up 41 points, and I was saying, I don't know if I am buying this defense at all. And I still don't think this Ravens defense is great. But what they aren't is terrible. And when they had those injuries, they were awful, right? Especially the week that Houston tore them up, which I know Ethan remembers. That was a bad Ravens unit at that time. And now that they've gotten healthy, I think they've gone from bad to average. Couple that with Lamar Jackson and company, and you've got a winning football team there. And I think that's where the Ravens are.
Yeah, well, to actually rebuttal what you just said about them having a mediocre defense, since they've been healthy after the Rams, where they just put up 3 points, they gave up 16 to the Bears, 6 to the Dolphins, and then 19 to Minnesota.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Let's be fair. Those are good. The 6 points against Miami beat themselves, right? The Dolphins had over 350
they
yards.
were moving the ball
They
down
moved
the
the
field.
ball.
They
Turnovers,
just
self-inflicting wounds, right?
it was.
So, now the Ravens should get credit for forcing turnovers. I'm not trying to do that. But it's not like it was a dominating performance, okay? And they did a great job against Miami. Now, Chicago's offense, I think, is playing well, and they scored. But it was a very similar performance that they had against the Giants' defense, which is pretty bad. And then the last game, the Vikings' offense is not any good, and they still scored 19 points and made it interesting in the end. So the defense is doing well, but I wouldn't say they're this dominating, bombastic Ravens defense.
They've definitely figured something out, though.
They've improved.
They've
There's
improved
no
drastically,
but
which
what
is
I'm
huge
saying is
for
I
that
don't see them as a
offense.
top 5 unit right now.
No, I don't either.
All right. I mean, when I think about the top defensive units right now, by the way, Cleveland is one of them. It's too bad I don't know what they're doing with Dylan Gabriel, and I don't want to dedicate any time to that Browns-Jets game because that would be a waste. But we're just talking about top defenses. Cleveland is doing it right. Dylan Gabriel's a disaster. I mean, I was joking with Ethan yesterday that the Jets were making Dylan Gabriel look like Steve Young, which was really a stretch because the Browns still didn't have 300 yards of offense. But you want to talk about a great unit that is getting completely wasted this season, whether it be Myles Garrett up front or Denzel Ward, in the secondary. That is a great unit, and they have 2 wins, and that's a shame.
There's a few other units. One
Houston's
of them I'm
defensive
very
unit
familiar
is very
with.
strong.
That is definitely a top 5 unit, arguably top 3, arguably even the best in the league, in the Texans, which is just being wasted by a
There's another one.
offense.
Now, there is one defensive unit that comes to mind right now that is absolutely being served or that is being utilized, and that's Seattle. I mean, the Seattle Seahawks, I don't know what's going on there. I mean, they just murdered the Cardinals. They had just murdered Washington, right? They're winning games, and they're winning a lot of them convincingly, Ian. I mean, tell us as the expert, how should we make sense of Seattle? They play the Rams, and we're going to spend more time on this on Friday, but Seattle plays the Rams this week. That is a huge matchup in the NFC. Let's be honest about that. This is a pivotal game between those two teams, and they're going to play again later in the year. But this could decide the winners of the NFC West, but also what's going on in the wild card race.
Yeah, I completely agree. The Seahawks kind of fly under the radar because they're so far out there in the northwest, but I absolutely agree. They are a wagon, and Sam Darnold has exceeded a lot of my expectations.
2 years in a row.
I was not expecting him to do as good under he was really good last year under Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings, but I was not expecting him to take that to Seattle. And with Jackson Smith and Jigba, they have just so many weapons that people don't realize, and obviously getting the wide receiver from the Saints, right?
Yeah.
Saints? Yeah. So, they just are adding weapons, and they were buyers, and they should be buyers in the trade deadline. So.
And you think now it's who is the receiver they traded for? It wasn't
It was Raheed Shaheed.
Shaheed, right? So
mouthful of a name.
Shaheed and then Smith and Jigba together should be a very good
And
combination.
Jigba, by the way, has looked like one of the best receivers in the NFL this year.
Yeah, no.
Huge breakout season for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were already like a wagon, kind of, you could make the argument, a wagon before they made the trade for Rashid Shaheed. But now adding him, do you know if they played him on Sunday?
I believe so,
okay,
but we can get a statistical check. It didn't matter. I mean, let's be honest. They completely blew the Cardinals out. The game was over in the first quarter.
Yeah, so as far as the Rams and Seahawks, I think that's going to be a really, really good game. The Rams versus 49ers on Sunday was also a good game. I didn't pick it for my show, but I mean for my picks, but I thought that the Rams would probably win. You got to give credit to the 49ers for staying in the fight, even though they've had so many injuries. Yeah.
They're one of those teams, right? The Ravens, we were mentioning that at least the Ravens players have come back. The Niners players, they're all gone and not coming back.
Yeah,
really
Warner's out for the year.
But they're hovering there at
Bosa's out
6
for
and
the year.
3. So here's the thing about the NFC, And this is not, I don't want this to be misinterpreted because I want to be very specific. A lot of times in media, things get lost in translation, so I'm going to be very clear. The Dallas Cowboys are not making the playoffs, all right? Let's just start there. But, there is a but. They're not, the Dallas Cowboys, plug your ears, this doesn't apply to you. There is an open spot. There is an open 7 spot in the NFC. So I'm going to run through it really quick, and I want everybody to kind of weigh in here because I think this is very important. Seattle and LA are going to make the playoffs, right? So there's one wild card. Tampa Bay is going to win that division. Green Bay and Detroit are both going to make the playoffs. That's 2 wild cards. And the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win that division. So that's 6 teams. Number 7 is open. Right? So then you talk about the Vikings, then you talk about the Bears, then you talk about the 49ers.
You can even throw the Panthers in that conversation.
The Panthers, record-wise, they're 5-5. I don't think they're any good. Right? I don't know how many people really still believe in them, but they are 5-5. So there is that last spot. So my question to you guys, who's going to take it? I mean, I don't know. San Francisco is the most trustworthy team on paper, but they're injured across the board. Chicago, I think maybe is the most
That's who
likely.
I would pick as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're 6-3. I don't really trust them yet either.
I don't
and
trust
let's be
them.
honest, if Jackson Dart doesn't get hurt, they lose the game yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
5-4, it's a different discussion. But leave that at bay. They're 6-3, and it seems like they're playing reasonably well. Ben Johnson's doing a nice job with Caleb Williams. Their defense has been disappointing. Defensively, the Bears have been really good, really for the last 2 decades, if we're being honest. Their defense has been consistent. Offensively, they've been a mess. They've never had a quarterback
and now
really
it's
in
a complete
franchise
opposite.
history. But now, yeah, it looks like their offense is moving the ball. Their defense can't get a stop.
They're scoring points.
But they're
as
6-3,
well.
Ethan, and you think they're probably the most likely team to squeak in that 7 spot?
I mean, you have to. When you look at the injuries for the 49ers,
All right.
and the Panthers are not very, very,
Yeah.
what's the word? Very
Trustworthy,
compelling,
credible, yeah, compelling, sure.
Yeah, compelling. It has to be the Bears.
Yeah.
That offense is just, they have too many studs on that offense. Caleb Williams is turning into the franchise quarterback that everybody thought he would be. Roma Odunze is turning into a solid receiver one. They still have DJ Moore who's been a reliable receiver. That offense just looks like it's worthy of that 7 spot in the playoffs.
Let's do my favorite game here, all right? And I like to play this game with Michael Smith.
It's time for
we call this the win-loss, win-loss, loss-loss, win game. So we're just going to run through really quick. I want everybody to play, so you guys can share the mic or whatever. And what we're going to do is we're going to go game by game for Chicago. They're 6-3, right? So they have to go 4-4 probably to make the playoffs. That would be 10-7.
Because usually for the
they
past
got 8 games
years,
left.
It's been 10 is in, 9 is out.
Exactly right. Usually with that 7th spot and 17 games, it usually is pretty clean. 10-7 is good enough. 9-8 is not. All right, win-loss, win-loss, loss-loss, win game. This week, a massive game. This is as big as it gets for this conversation right now.
This is probably the 7 seed here.
Yep. Chicago at Minnesota. All right, what do you guys think?
We're going to get Dream on first.
I don't know. I don't know. The Bears just find a way to win, but I think it's a either-or game.
Now, the Bears had a big lead at home week 1 against Minnesota and lost in the 4th quarter.
I think, yeah, but I don't know. That was first week of Ben Johnson. I don't know. I'm going to say the Vikings just because they're at home, but it's
all right.
It's either or, so I don't know, yeah.
Contest leading Dream Weaver is on Minnesota, but it sounds like with his confidence level, I wouldn't expect to see that show up in his picks this week. I don't think that's going to be one of his
very
3.
confident. However, my take on this game is the Bears will always Bears.
All right, so you both think the Vikings
even though they're worthy of that 7 spot.
All right.
The Bears are always
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a little bit of a weasel, all right? So I'm going to cop out a little bit. I'm looking ahead. I got Minnesota and Pittsburgh. I'm just going to put it this way. I think the Bears are going to go 1-1 in those 2 games. I'm not going to say which one specifically.
I would definitely agree with that.
Do we agree?
Yeah.
We all are in agreement with that?
Yeah, they could take one of those.
So 1-1 against Minnesota and Pittsburgh. Then they're at Philly. That's a loss.
Yes, 100%.
Everybody's with that?
Yep.
They're at Green Bay. That's probably a loss.
Yep.
All right,
the thing is, you never know what Green Bay is going to show up. Is the Green Bay
They usually show up against the Bears, though.
Week 1 Green Bay going to show up, or is the Panthers or Browns losing Green Bay going to show up?
That's a good point. And they also tied Dallas and gave up 40 points.
Also, that's true. Also, divisional games, you never know. I think that will be a close game.
All right, so now we're going to compromise here, Ian. They play the Packers twice. You want to give them a split?
You want to give them the one at home?
Do you think they're good enough to split against the Packers? It sounds like you do. It sounds like if you had to predict, you would say they're going to split against the Packers.
I'm not too sure on that, Dream. What do you think?
I'm not sure. I think Packers would go 2-0.
You do think they'll sweep?
Yeah,
but you're cautiously optimistic about the Packers.
I'm not sure, just because I don't trust the Packers. They've lost too many. They've lost to too many bad teams. Yeah.
All right. So let's just put it this way. It's not a particularly easy schedule. All right, I'm gonna recap this holistically. They have Minnesota, Pittsburgh. So those are two. We'll put those in the toss-up category.
7-4. Let's give them
right?
one. 7-4.
All right. At Philly, let's say they lose those 2 road games
So
to
7
the
and
Eagles.
5
So
now.
7-6 if they lose to the Eagles and the Packers.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. 7
Then
and
they
6.
have Cleveland. You're gonna hope
That
they
should
win
be a
that.
win.
So now you're talking about 8-6. Then they've got the Packers, the Niners, and the Lions. So there's
Those
a good
could
chance.
all be losses.
There's a good chance they're going to have to go 2-1 there, which seems unlikely. Now, there's 2 games if you're a Bears fan that you're absolutely circling the calendar. No question about it. It's the 28th of December in San Francisco, and that's Sunday Night Football. They did a nice job with that because that one's going to matter. Bears at Niners. That could be everything. And this week against the Vikings is a huge game. Now, so the Bears are going to... They're going to either earn it or they're not, right? It's not going to be because of luck. They're in control of their own fate.
Their strength of schedule is pretty tough.
Now, if they're able to beat Minnesota and San Francisco, those are big head-to-head wins, and just beat on the Browns, then that's 9 right there with those tiebreakers. That may be enough, or they have to go out there and find one against maybe Green Bay or whoever it may be, Pittsburgh. But it looks like the Bears. I think it's an uphill battle.
You could run into something where the Lions become they go on a stretch of wins and they become the 1 seed and they bench all their guys because they have the bye clinched.
The Bears the Bears don't like the Packers, right? They're not friends.
No, that's probably the biggest rivalry in football.
They need some help from the Packers one way or another. Probably they need the Packers to struggle because can you imagine a scenario? It's pretty easy to me where the Packers maybe lose a couple more games like Dreamweaver said they're a little bit inconsistent and the Lions may have the division clinched. And they play the Lions the last game of the year.
Right, so that
if the Lions have the division clinched and they can't get the 1 seed, they may play backups and the Bears could win that game.
Yeah.
So this is a very interesting schedule. I think that's an interesting one. They're right on the bubble. The Niners too. The question is, can you trust San Francisco with their injuries? I think what we're getting at here is the Niners and the Bears on the 28th of December is going to be a huge game. Now, fortunately for San Francisco, they've got some wins on their schedule, and I don't want to play the game again. But they've got Arizona, Carolina, Cleveland, Tennessee. That's their next 4 games.
That should be 4 wins right there.
Now let's just say they go 3-1. You're talking about a Niners team that's 9-4.
And they're sitting pretty in that 7th spot.
So if the Niners can just take care of business against the bad teams, they've got a late December matchup against the Bears. Win that, they're in. So the Bears probably will be playing from behind in December, playing in the standings. They'll be behind maybe 1 or 2 games below San Francisco. And then it's all going to be right there. If they can win that game, maybe they can jump them. Otherwise, it's got to be the Niners. But it looks like right now the Niners are probably the most probable team based on their schedule.
Just based on schedule, yeah,
be in the 7th seed.
I would
but
agree
they've got
with you.
injury. I don't think anybody thinks they can win the Super Bowl or make a run because of the injuries that they have. They also gave up 40-plus points last week against the Rams. And the Niners defense under Robert Saleh has been performing well up until the last really couple of weeks with these injuries. So now they're kind of losing their calling card. Mac Jones, maybe he's getting figured out a little bit more. But the Niners, they're an interesting spot. The NFC, like I said, very compelling. And the 2 divisional races that are really interesting, Green Bay, Detroit, and Seattle, L.A. And Green Bay and Detroit, they're going to play on Thanksgiving. Seattle and L.A., they play this week. So
Make sure you circle those on your calendar.
Yeah,
those are going to be must-see TV.
We're going to get good data on both of those races coming up soon. All right,
if you can watch it. We don't know what the ESPN.
Yeah, right.
Stuff,
well, we know that neither one of those games will be on ESPN. Fortunately, you make a good point. There's a lot of people, for those not following, YouTube TV, they're in a big battle with ESPN. Now, I have DirecTV Stream. Okay. Not an ad read. This is an unsponsored show. We don't have any. We'll take sponsorships. We currently don't have any. But I do use DirecTV Stream, and they have had no issues with Disney or ESPN or anything like that. But Dreamweaver, tons of people use YouTube TV. I think it's the most commonly used service out there right now.
Definitely a ton of people have switched over from cable TV, streaming TV to YouTube.
And not having, you're talking about ABC carries the best college football games every Saturday, and then Monday Night Football. That is a big portion of what people watch for really any kind of sports or just television in general, and they're not getting it.
Yeah, I honestly totally thought that they would have it figured out by now. Like, obviously, not just sports, but like with the election and stuff, I thought they would totally have it figured out. Obviously, sports is more important than politics, obviously.
Right, obviously. But it's also 2025, so who really cares about the governor's race in Virginia, for example?
Exactly, yeah. So I thought they would definitely have this figured out, but it seems like they're in a standstill. So I guess people have to decide if they want to get Hulu and YouTube TV and just, I don't know. It's interesting what people are deciding and like what these. I know J.J. Watt said, "I'm not paying for another streaming service." Okay, J.J. Watt, you have millions of dollars. You don't need to worry about that. You know what I'm saying?
I think he's trying to speak for the people there, but it is unfortunate. Look, it's not fair. I mean, people are paying even $80 a month for YouTube TV. They should be able to get ESPN and ABC at that price. So that's certainly unfortunate. Now, who knows? Maybe all these executives will be robots in another 5 years and the prices will come down or up. I'm not an expert on anything like that. Let's look back a little bit here. We'll change gears. I want to know this, Dreamweaver. You got to explain this to me. And maybe it's because you're listening to the Bill Simmons podcast. I think that might have something to do with it. I thought the Buccaneers were going to take that game against New England. They're the established team. They're at home. They're a very well-rounded team. People like their defense, their running defense specifically. They also credit Baker Mayfield for having a breakout season with the rookie receiver there, Ibuka, and also Mike Evans, right? Chris Godwin. I don't know if Evans and Godwin, are they healthy right now? Maybe they're not.
Evans isn't. Yeah,
Evans is not, right? But anyway, talented offense. Bucky Irving.
He was
at
out
home.
Too, I think.
He didn't. Well, then maybe I should have done more research.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Patriots, they made a statement. Let's be honest about that. They went into Tampa Bay. They got that win as underdogs. They're now 8-2. They get a favor from Miami. The Dolphins beat up on the Bills. But how did you know the Patriots were going to win that game? That's what I want to know.
I mean, Bill Simmons is a Patriots fan, but also, I don't know. I think the Patriots have looked good this season, and it was a good test. They had a pretty tame schedule so far this season, so I wanted to see if they could, perform on the road against Tampa. And they absolutely did. And now they're in the top of the AFC East. And thanks to the Bills' atrocious loss, they should not have lost that game. They're in the top of the AFC East. And the Drake Mays MVP.
By the way, I hate the Bills.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, they should not have lost that game. So how do you feel about that game?
I got to tell you, I have to round the bases here just a little bit. And Ethan doesn't like it when I do this, but that's okay. On my pick sheet here, plus 8.5.
Here he goes.
Miami Dolphins.
Here he goes.
Oh, wow. I picked him. The Dolphins, and last week I picked the Panthers against the Packers.
Wow!
So you got to say it.
For the people that listen in on Fridays, we talked about that. We covered it a bit, but David loves to boast about what
I enjoy being right.
He loves being right, and it's a skill. I've given him his flowers for it. It's a skill. It's hard to steer somebody in a way where you're
saying I shift the conversation.
Yeah, you love to shift the conversation and
specifically
brag about
to realms in which I was correct.
Yes, always.
And what happens if I'm wrong?
Oh, it's out the window. We're done talking about it. You'll never hear it again. And a good example of this that I keep bringing up was when he said on this show, BYU versus Iowa State. BYU was the worst pick of the day, and then he went and he went against me again in A&M or in LSU.
Between Texas A&M against LSU.
Yes, and he was wrong for both of them.
It can't be right all the time, right?
Yeah. But hey,
we have to say this.
He brags about his wins.
Let's talk about the one that happened most recently.
Yeah, let's do it.
Miami Dolphins.
Great pick.
The Buffalo Bills.
Great pick.
I just think they're an inconsistent team. They had just pulled off a huge victory. Let's be honest. The Bills, when they play the Chiefs, that's their Super Bowl. It doesn't matter when the game is. They could play that game in August. The Bills love beating the Chiefs, and they had just kind of rode that high, right? They're on the wave. Then they come down to Miami. Now, the Dolphins are a matchup nightmare for the Bills. Let's remember this. It's not uncommon.
They can run the ball.
It's not uncommon. That's true. It's not uncommon. And they could not stop A-Chain yesterday.
No,
they could not stop him one bit.
He looks like one of the best running backs in the NFL.
Especially when he plays against Buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
But let's just backpedal a little bit, right? I feel like every season when the Bills go down to Miami, the Dolphins give them a good game. The Dolphins have been the only team up until this season competing with the Bills in that division. And when the Dolphins got off to that nightmare start, the Bills were red hot at the beginning of the season. Remember, Miami went up to Buffalo. They were a huge underdog. They were getting. You remember this game? It was on Thursday Night Football. I want to say the Dolphins were getting 13
game,
points.
Wasn't it?
Very close game. They were leading, I think, at halftime. They were down 7 late, and Tua throws a bad interception, but they were about to send that game to overtime. So I was remembering, I was like, hold on, this was a close game in Buffalo. They play them tough every year. The Bills are on this big wave of beating Kansas City. I think they're due for a big letdown. Bingo, right? I mean, but the Bills, like you said, they match up poorly.
Or buy low and sell high.
Right.
You talk about this all the time.
The Bills match up really bad against Miami. Ethan's exactly right. They can't stop the run. And Ian, my question to you is, will the Bills be able to, and we don't want to overreact to one game, right? That's a big thing I always say in the show, is 1 week is, you can't sell all your stock on one team because they lost one game, right? Nobody's going to go 19-0. But do the Bills have structural concerns that could preclude them from winning a Super Bowl?
I think so. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, there's a lot of teams in the NFL that can be one team 1 week and another team a different week. The Packers, the Falcons, the Bills.
The Falcons. How do you make sense out of the Atlanta Falcons?
The Falcons lose 30-0 to the Panthers when we didn't know the Panthers were an okay team. And then they beat the Bills. So
correct.
and
then they lose by 24 to Miami.
Exactly. So it's I'm not really sure if I trust the Bills. And if you really hate the Bills, David, I checked this morning, and you can bet them plus 890 to not make the playoffs at all. So if you really don't believe in the Bills,
Well, I think they're going to make the playoffs.
Hammer it, Dave.
No.
Hammer it.
No way.
So, question: is it more of teams being good, more of like an amount of teams being good, or is it more teams being bad? What do you think about that? Like teams aren't good enough to perform, or teams are too good.
I want
like
you to rephrase his question. Do you know what he's asking?
yeah, I think so.
All right,
Like,
then go ahead.
I think
Is there too many teams with too many good players to the point where they can beat any team?
No.
Or
is
is
that?
it
Who's doing that? Nobody's doing
like
that.
Atlanta? Like Atlanta, they can beat up on good teams. They beat Buffalo on prime
But
time.
why do they get blown out by Carolina? And why do they lose to Miami?
It's just any given week.
Yeah.
It's just any given week.
Well,
Is
that's
it,
true.
Is it
But what's the
too many
reasoning for
teams are like have superstars and have players that can make
Well,
plays?
I think the matchups are very important. How about you? I want Ian to approach this question first because go ahead, Ian. What do you have to say about this?
I think it's the beauty of the NFL. There's just so much parity. Like we know.
Yeah.
I mean, we think. I was gonna say we know, but we think the Bills are a good team. They have Josh Allen,
They're good.
consistent coach, like good franchise, but they lose to these bad teams. And what we realize is the bad teams aren't really that bad. They're just like they just lose games. Like the Browns can win a sloppy game against the Packers and then lose
To the
games. So
Jets.
yeah, so we just like there's so much parity in the NFL.
Yeah.
And
Now this is what the NFL has right, and there's going to be discussions not this offseason. I think next offseason in Major League Baseball about a salary cap and trying to make that league more competitive. The NFL absolutely has it where the worst team and the best team. It doesn't seem like the outcome is absolutely guaranteed. Now there are blowouts, and certainly it seemed like yesterday afternoon, Ethan and I were watching basketball because the NFL was a dud. I mean, it was a terrific window here in Arizona from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It was great.
the early slate was
terrific.
fantastic.
You had good finish between Tampa Bay and New England. You had another good finish. What was the Houston and
Houston
Jacksonville
was an
chaotic.
unbelievable finish.
There were more too. Even the Jets and Cleveland came
And
down
the
to the
Dolphins
end.
were
Miami
shocking.
blew out Buffalo. Right, there were some surprising things going on. Very compelling stories. You get to the afternoon. Washington's getting hammered by
Blowout.
Detroit. The Rams are killing San
Blowout.
Francisco. Seattle's killing
Blowout.
Arizona. Right, triple blowout. So that can happen, but Arizona the week before, who got blown out, looked terrible. They just beat Dallas in their building by double digits. So you're right about the parity. It's very tough to make sense of. The only one who's really made sense of it all year is Ian Dream Weaver. And let's just recap the standings for the three people here. And I don't do this with a lot of joy because I'm struggling.
Oh, and I don't love hearing this either.
So
Dave,
in college,
trust
and
me.
we'll touch on how Michael and Damon are doing too, because for those who listen, they're here with us most every Friday. So we do want to reference them. Now, Ian is in first place across all student media outlets. That includes Camp Student Radio, The Daily Wildcat, and UATV. He has a college football record of 17-10.
Jeez.
And he has an NFL record of 14-12. So altogether, Ian is 31-22. That's very good.
That's nearly a 2-1 record in every
you're
single
almost 2 out of 3, right?
every single week.
So he's got a little bit of a grin on his face, and he should because it's very impressive. Now,
Yeah, it's tough to do against the spread.
now I do have a winning record in college football, but
He's back.
modest. I'm 14-13, so Ian's 3 ahead of me in college. But in the NFL, it's not pretty. I'm 11-16.
Oh God.
11, and it seems like every time
But
I
you
do
were-
really well, I'm 2-1 or even 1-2, and I'm happy because I get a bad beat, a blowout, and a loss. And there's been a couple of 0-3 weeks. It hasn't been great, but I'm making
You
a
were
comeback.
telling me how good you were in the NFL
Last year I was. Everybody who listened last year, I think I don't remember exactly. I think it was like 29-6. It was unbelievable. It was a generational run. And this year it has not been recreated. I'm in my own head. Like I said, I'm like your tie-dye T-shirt. So my overall record is 25-29. All right, let's get to Ian here, or excuse me, Ethan.
Oh,
I'm getting
no.
lost
Yeah,
with the Ethan. Ian.
We could skip over me.
No,
Why
no.
don't we?
No. You're very consistent. It's very easy to evaluate.
Just 1-2 every
He's
week.
9-12 in the NFL. He's 9-12 in college football. So he's not far off. I mean, he's a 6-0
We're a
week away.
6-0 week
from just
away
evening it out
from
clean
being
slate.
500.
That's
which
an overall
is
record
exactly what I need.
of 18-24. Like I said, 9-12 across both disciplines. And then you have DC. Now, DC was in first place. You may remember Damon Coyne, who's a camp guy here. And doing it as a freshman, I have to say, he's doing a nice job both with the broadcasting, the radio appearances, the picks. He's killing it with the picks. So Damon has been a very bright spot here for Camp Student Radio as a freshman. I want to give him his credit there. He's 10-11 in college football. And he did something that I think, Ethan, is a little bit morally ambiguous at best, and maybe reprehensible, some are saying it
Damon,
worse.
if
He had
I'm not
other
too
people
sure
make
why-
his picks last week. He came on the air.
Yeah, he
now,
was-
it's one thing if you're going to listen to a podcast or whatever that may be, inform yourself however you'd like. He said, well, I had a bad – he was in first place 2 weeks ago. First place. And I can't even tell you what first place looks like. I'm so far away. He's in first place, and he has one bad week. He went 1-5. He comes in the next week. He said, "Oh, I was so bad last week. I had my dad and my friends make picks for me this week." I said, "What?" Yeah. And they did okay.
That's ground for
removal.
Suspension. Yeah,
A suspension.
Removal. Yeah.
Dreamweaver.
Should he get a 1 week ban?
No, a 1 week ban doesn't hurt because maybe you're stopping him from having a bad week. I think 1 week where we make him go 0-6.
He has to do 6 incorrect picks. We have to make him do 6 incorrect picks.
Or better yet, we just have Reed Borchard
Or
make
how
6
about
picks for him. That wasn't very nice.
That was really mean. That is my good buddy Reed. We love him very dearly. But some of the stuff that he says just makes us laugh. For those that were listening to our Arizona-Kansas broadcast yesterday, me and Reed were on air, and I asked him, Reed, what do you want to see? We were near the red zone, and I think it was a 1st and 10. I was like, Reed,
It was first down.
Reed, what do you want to see on this play? Is it a
you remember
pass?
what he
It is
said?
a run? He goes, run, till Daddy hits the T-bird away.
Daddy takes the T-bird
Daddy
away.
takes the T-bird away. And I couldn't hold
Now,
it in. I
Dreamweaver-
couldn't do my play-by-play. I couldn't call the game.
Do you get the reference? Do you know the reference that Reed made? Run till Daddy takes the T-bird away.
I think I do, but you could explain it.
Well, he paraphrased from fun. It'll be fun till Daddy takes the T-bird away from the Beach Boys.
Oh
That's a
yeah,
song
okay,
from
that's what I figured.
the
yeah.
previous century, right? Now,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got the reference, and I thought it was. I don't want to say it was well done, but I understood where he was going with it.
I
It was-
just
it was
wasn't
interesting. Ethan was lost.
expecting-
He had no idea. He didn't even know what words he said.
I couldn't look at this. I couldn't look at the game. I couldn't call the game. I had no idea what was going on. I was
Now, it's not
dying
nice
of
of me.
laughter.
It's not nice of me to make fun of our good buddy Reed with his picks because he's not doing a terrible job.
buddy
Now, there was
Reed.
a time in history, Dreamweaver, when Reed was 4-11 in the NFL. Now, that's not where you want to be. No, he was 1-11.
He
was 1-11.
It was 1-11.
So I gave him a little bit of grief for that, but he's gotten his act together.
What is he now?
He is
7-11.
now. He's 8-13.
8-13.
So that's pretty good. I mean,
So
he's
he had-
gone
he had-
7-2 the
He
last
had a
3
couple
weeks.
undefeated weeks. No.
Yeah, he's 7-2. So he was 1-11. Since then, he's gone 7-2. So maybe if we had Reed picked for Damon, it wouldn't be so bad. But certainly the beginning of the season, it would have been.
It would have been an
No
abysmal.
question about that. So Reed Borcharding, our good buddy, he has a winning record in college football, just like me. 11-10 in college, but he's 8-13 in the NFL. So we're actually very similar. I'm making fun of him. We're basically the same.
Yeah, you and
He's-
Reed are.
He's 9-20. I'm ahead of him because I'm 4 games below, but I've made more picks, so that's technically better. I'm
Yeah,
25
Reed's
and 29.
actually on the show today. David's out doing
He's
whatever.
19, 20,
he's
yeah,
doing.
right. Well, I've been very busy. Now, let's touch on DC, right? We mentioned he was in first place, and then, like I said, had other people making picks, which we don't know what to make of that. Damon Coyne, 10-11 in college, which is a miracle because Ethan, just 2 weeks before, he
Well,
was
he was
killing
like
it.
10-5.
He was
right?
9-6. So the
Yeah.
last couple of weeks, he's gotten one college game right out of 6. He went from 9-6, to 9-6 to 10-11. He's 1-5 in that stretch. That's brutal. So he's struggling in college
Yikes.
recently, 10-11. But in the NFL, you can't take anything away from him. He's absolutely
No,
killing
he's
it.
elite in the NFL.
14-7.
Yeah, it's elite.
14
That's
and 7.
similar to you, Dreamweaver. That's similar to you with the 2-for-1.
Excuse me, he's 14-6.
Oh, even better than
14-6 in college.
Wait, what am I in the NFL?
Your NFL record, Dreamweaver, is not that good. It's 14-12. But
Yeah,
your
but
college,
your
you're
college
killing him in
football
college.
record is
He's begging for
disgusting.
mercy in college.
It didn't happen this week, but every week besides this week, I've bet that Ohio State will cover. It didn't happen this week, which I didn't bet, which I'm lucky
That was
about.
very well done.
But
Because
yeah,
somebody else
like,
in this room did
so
take
maybe,
Ohio State. And it
so
wasn't
maybe
me.
that's why, because I listen to a lot more NFL, which is not very good. That I listen to more of that and don't have as good of a record.
Yeah.
But
So there's an inverse relationship.
yeah, it seems.
Now
like
I
it.
agree with that because I think I consume a good bit of media, and I can't get out of my own head.
Yeah, it's all.
So Ethan, Dreamweaver jumps off the Ohio State wagon, and
I
you
jump
right
on. Well, I was on them last week too, or a few weeks
Now,
ago
I warned
when
him.
they.
I said I didn't like it.
I was
did I tell
on
you?
them. Yeah, you did. Oh, here he goes again with being right.
He was loud.
Yeah. But 30's a lot of points.
Yeah.
And I took them when they covered against Wisconsin. I think
Well,
it was.
Wisconsin's terrible.
I think it was
I took 'em that
23.
week, too.
The final. You know the final score of that
Yeah.
game?
It was
34 to
37
nothing.
Was it 34-0?
34 to So I was like, oh, they're gonna do the same thing. They're gonna shut
Yeah.
them out. They're gonna score 35.
And Wisconsin beat Washington. That was the
Yeah,
shock
that was
of the
crazy.
century.
Upset of the year.
Oh my
maybe.
goodness! And how about Jed Fish? It's not going
Yeah.
particularly well in Washington.
No,
they're
he's
not doing a
not.
great job.
Yeah, did you see he said he wants to leave?
No,
Yeah, he said that.
he wants to leave.
Tell him
he
to
said?
come back to Tucson.
No, I think he's gonna go to Florida if they'll take him.
He said
that
his
where he's
family
from?
doesn't
Yeah.
really like Seattle, but yeah, I think he would
He
go back to
said that?
Florida. Yeah.
Oh my!
I don't
God.
know if it's like the
That's not
weather
gonna
or what,
play well.
but yeah. So
He said,
I-
"Well,
he's
my
not
family
really-
hates it here."
He's
All-
not really
with all due
happy
respect.
anywhere. Like he hasn't been at a place for more than 3 years in a while. So
Yeah.
we'll see where he goes next.
Here's
they're
a
still ranked though. Like it's not like they're having a disgusting season. They're 6-3. They're the 23rd rank in the country. I don't think it's all scrambled eggs and on toast for them.
There's a headline here on ESPN. It says Jed Fish loves it at UW, comma, even with family in Arizona. So his family is not living in Seattle, which is kind of depressing. So he's going home to nothing, basically. But
He's going home to some whiskey.
yeah, maybe that might be it. But he says he likes it. Now that could obviously he's just playing games. But a lot of people are linking him to the Florida job. Obviously, that would be an upgrade for sure with the SEC money that they have. Jed Fish has been unable to really get it going up in Seattle after the departure of their coach Kalen DeBoer, who's now with the University of Alabama. The other person on our show, the brilliant, the great Michael Smith.
Oh, the brilliant.
He is really struggling.
Yeah.
Now that might be the punishment for
Yeah.
Damon. It's just have Michael make his picks.
Well, Michael always takes the weirdest games, the dirtiest
He has-
spreads.
he
He's
has
in the
an- he
mud.
has
He
an
loves
affinity-
to roll around in the mud. He's like a
a pig.
pig. He's literally
Yeah,
a pig.
He
with
has
these
an
picks.
affinity for the bizarre. There's no question about that.
He
Now-
loves to go to these random UNLV, USF,
much
whoever
like
it
much
is.
like Ethan, Michael is very consistent, but he's actually consistently worse, which some are saying is hard to do. But he's 11-16 in both domains. 11-16.
Yikes.
That's my NFL record, which I've already said it's awful. But at least in college, I got a winning record. In college, he's also 11-16. So Dreamweaver, how's your math? If you're 11-16 twice, what's your overall record?
22 and 32.
That's right, not very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
You could have
not
just
very
said
good.
terrible, and that
Yeah.
would have worked too. So anyway, so that's Michael Smith. So Michael, actually, here's the worst part. You're supposed to say, what's the worst part? Here's the worst part. He was 2-1 in both, and he's still 11-16. So he actually got better.
But hey, all you could do is focus on yourself and get better.
Get better every week.
That's all you can focus on.
Michael had Baltimore. It seems like everybody had Baltimore except for me. I don't know what I was missing.
should have
there.
hopped on the
I
train.
should have. Well, I was too busy taking Tampa, which was not smart. And he had Detroit, which I did have. Now, how everybody didn't take the Lions against the Commanders, who are lifeless. First of all, the Commanders have the worst defense I've ever seen in my life.
They can't stop
Not
the
this
run.
year,
They
Ian.
can't stop the
The
pass.
worst defense to ever grace a football field.
What about Cincinnati this year?
Well, they're right there with
Yeah.
them. Now, if the Commanders played the Bengals, oh my God, it
Might
would be
be
a
a
basketball
100 to
score.
100.
It would be like if the Rockets were playing the Spurs. That's what the score would be. I mean, it would be 131 to 120. I mean, the Bengals and the Commanders defensively, they may as well just have their offense take the field the whole game. I mean, they could have 11 Travis Hunters, right? I mean, it's brutal.
I think that Ohio just needs to become one football team. The Bengals offense,
and the-
the
oh, boy,
Browns
now you're
defense.
talking.
That would
My
be
goodness.
That would
How
be
about the Texas teams too? Why don't we do that in
Yeah,
Texas
yeah.
too?
The
Cowboys,
Cowboys offense?
offense and the Texans
Whoa.
defense.
Whoa. Now, here's the sad thing. If New York merged together, they would still stink. That's the worst part. The Jets and the Giants, it wouldn't be pretty.
Well, you'd have some fun players. You'd have some
Not
cool
enough.
players.
We'd still
They'd
be
have
coming up
one
short.
quarterback. That'd be good. One
Maybe.
quarterback
Yeah, but
for
he's
one
not even
team.
healthy.
Yeah, that's true,
Somehow,
that's true.
something tells me that if the Jets and the Giants merge, we'd still be stuck with Russell Wilson. That's my guess. That's
well,
what I see.
the good thing is you would have one coach between those two teams.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. There
Yeah.
wouldn't be any conflict of superiority, right?
Yeah.
And I do want to talk about that. I'm glad Dreamweaver, beautiful transition.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get to that.
What a setup.
What a segue.
Absolute
Because
dream
I texted,
setup.
He's killing it. It is a dream. When I texted these two gentlemen before the show, a couple things I wanted to touch on. One of them I absolutely wanted to get to because I have a lot of thoughts as somebody from the Northeast, was I want to talk about Brian Dable and the Giants' decision to dismiss him. And I don't like it. That's my take. I'm not a fan of
Yeah,
the
I
move.
was surprised by it.
Now, here's my problem, Dreamweaver. It's a very simple problem. John Mara and the Giants ownership should have had a plan last year, and the plan should have been one of two things. And if you did this, you wouldn't be where you are right now. You're either going to move on from Brian Dable last year, and his record in 2024 and 2023 was not good. He was the coach of the year in 22. They had a smoke and mirror season with Daniel Jones, who now looks like a good player. But anyway, lucky season in 22. They went 11-6. They won a playoff game. Last 2 years, brutal. Make a decision. Okay, he didn't really make a decision. He just said, "All right, come back for one more year." Now you can't do that. Should have either fired him, which I wouldn't have loved, but that would have been fine, or Dreamweaver, you extend him. You can't give him one because now what you're doing is you have a rookie quarterback, and you're setting this rookie quarterback up for failure. You've got this relationship between Dable and Dart. And you got to let them keep going. You have to let them keep growing. You don't want any instability with a rookie quarterback. You want things to be consistent so that the rookie season is the rookie season. And then the second year, you have growth and development. You keep building on it. Next year, it's going to be a totally new system, a totally new head coach. It's going to be a second rookie season for Jackson Dart, who has shown a lot of progress under Brian Dable. Now, if you were a Giants fan, and I asked you at the beginning of the season, I said, what do you want to see this year? any reasonable Giant fan knew they weren't going to be any good. Their roster's not that great. They had a tough schedule. They're the worst team in their division. Their defense stinks, right? They would have said, oh, well, if the rookie quarterback shows some life and we're competitive, I'm happy. That's what I would have said if I was the Giants fan. And I got to break it to you, Dreamweaver. Their rookie quarterback is showing something, and they're competitive. So I don't understand why you brought Brian Dable back. He's delivering basically what the expectation was, and you fire him 10 games in? I don't get it.
Yes, all of those points are correct. But you look at what the Giants have done this year and how they've lost their games. They've lost 4 games when they were up 10 away. They lost 4 games.
All right.
So
But
it has to be.
Okay. Fair enough, right? They should have been. Now the Bears was unfortunate because they had the injury to Dart.
Right.
Should have won the Cowboy game.
Yes.
And they should have won the Bronco game.
Correct.
Then, if the Giants were 5-5 this year,
He would not
he'd
have
be
been
coach of the
fired.
year.
Correct.
I mean, they stink. Anybody
Correct.
that had them being 500 this year, I would have said,
You're out of your mind.
Cut open your vein. It's going to be all blue. You're bleeding
Yeah,
Giants. You're a
literally.
diehard, right? I mean, it's not going to be red. It's going to be all blue.
Yeah, nobody expected Dart to play
No.
like how he has.
He's
Nobody expected
done a
them to-
great job with Jackson Dart.
Correct.
And the team was competitive. I don't get it. I mean,
he did
why
the
you would
same
bring him
thing
back,
with Josh Allen in Buffalo. Maybe
That's
he's
right.
just an offensive coordinator.
He knows
and
how
a
to-
brilliant
he knows how to
offensive
develop
mind.
quarterbacks.
He knows how to develop a quarterback, but he can't coach
But
in
what
situational
happens,
football.
What happens next year when you bring in somebody that doesn't like Jackson Dart as much, maybe, or maybe they do, but they don't have as good a working relationship with him? Maybe his development takes a step back. Then you haven't made a mistake. You've made a big mistake.
Yeah,
If that's
you've
the
taken
case,
steps back.
steps back. You've got to wait. You have got to wait until your rookie quarterback is sound. Then if you want to make a move, that's fine. If after 2 or 3 years of Dart and Dable together, you say, okay, Dart is really developing, but we need a little bit better. We need more savvy in-game coaching. Our defense is behind. Make a change. That's fine. But right now, I don't see the benefit because this isn't a playoff team. I don't think next year either.
Mm-hmm. I think they should have held him at least to the end of the year. I thought it was a little bit of a quick firing,
Yeah.
especially with how recent Jackson Dart has come onto the scene
Oh, my
for them.
goodness.
But like the situational football and the coach, the lost games that should have been won.
Yeah.
You have to look at that as well.
I understand.
You can't just say Jackson Dart, he's been great. You have to look at what they've done on the field as well as a whole team and how they've managed these games. And they've lost games that they should have won. They lost to Denver. They should have won that game. They
So
lost to
I
the Bears. They
understand
should have
that.
won that game.
So let's answer this question. I want to get Ian in on this conversation because I'm sure he has something to add here. But Ian, here's and I want to build off what Ethan said because I do think he's made a good point. The question you have to ask yourself if you're the Giant ownership brass is what decision is going to set up for the best success next year, right? And to me, that is the continued development of Jackson Dart. Winning these close games, I don't view them as a playoff team next year. But if their quarterback continues to take steps, I think that would be a win. So maybe you're trying to sacrifice his development so that you have a better in-game coach. You win some of these close games. To me, that doesn't seem like the best choice for their future. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I want to add some stuff, but like Ethan said, Brian Dable worked with Josh Allen, which is why he got the head coach job in New York. What did Josh Allen look like his first year? Worse than Jackson Dart, I would say.
Imagine what he would be in year 2.
Yeah, imagine what he would be in year 2. Ownership in the NFL makes a horrible mistake whenever they fire and separate the coach and the rookie quarterback. It does not make any sense. You need continuity to grow these NFL quarterbacks, especially rookies. And it's what we're seeing and now Jackson Dart is in, I'm sure he's going to get a good head coach and play good, but he's in a horrible situation because the new coach is not tied to the quarterback. When quarterbacks and coaches grow up together, like Kevin O'Connell and J.J. McCarthy, they're together. So if J.J. McCarthy fails, Kevin O'Connell fails. Mm-hmm. But like we're seeing in Arizona with the Arizona Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon is not tied to Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray was there before Jonathan Gannon. Yeah, so that's why Jacoby Brissett is starting. And I know Kyler Murray's on injury list, but he probably could have started if Jonathan Gannon wanted to. So now Jackson Dart's not going to have his rookie coach. So if Jackson Dart starts to not play good, the coach is going to be like, I didn't even choose this quarterback.
Right, you're exactly right. There may not be loyalty to him.
Yeah, no
now,
loyalty.
I think about, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. You want to talk about a quarterback who had a consistent, stable upbringing from really the beginning. Mahomes has had Reid the whole time, continued development, continued growth, and it's worked out. The same is true for Jordan Love, right? He's had LaFleur the entire time, and I think that that's key. You look at a lot of these guys, right? Even Josh Allen. The pivotal years of his development, he had Brian Dable there, Then he left, and there was actually a little bit of a bump in the road, but he's established himself long enough that, making the change is okay. And they didn't want to make the change. Dable took a promotion in the head coaching job with the Giant. Lamar Jackson, no coaching change there. Really, pick any of the top guys right now.
No
the
coaching
exception,
changes.
and this is a false equivalency. This is not a good example. Now, Drake May did not have a great rookie season, right? Totally different story. That was an opportunity where his development wasn't where it needed to be. They make a change, and it's
now
worked out well.
Now it's excelled. It's
Right,
not just
right.
been.
And
good.
also, let's be honest about this. They went from a former Patriot system to a former Patriot system. Different voices, different subtleties, but Gerard Mayo to Mike Vrabel, Bill O'Brien and others to Josh McDaniels, not that big of a change.
Yeah, I would say you can absolutely come up with examples in the NFL where quarterbacks don't have the same coach they had as a rookie, like Justin Herbert. He's a good player. Like even Sam Darnold, he's playing great this season. But I would say it's exponentially easier and much better for the quarterback to have the same continuity, like you said with Patrick Mahomes or like Jalen Hurts. He hasn't had the same guy, but like I don't know, just these franchises that make the decision to move on is so like irresponsible to the rookie quarterback.
I think it is irresponsible.
They want the rookie quarterback to succeed. They need the continuity. So yeah, I think it's just not a good decision. Same with colleges that fire coaches mid-season. They lose all the recruits they had. It just doesn't make sense. You need to ride out the coach till the end of the season at least.
I agree. All right, so I think we said what we need to say about the Giants. We got 10 minutes left. I have two more things I want to get to. First of all, we have a great game tonight between the Eagles and the Packers. That's going to be a good one. I don't know how much of it I'm going to be able to watch in just a few minutes because I am a little bit busy, unfortunately. As Ethan mentioned, I'm a busy guy between my internship and also a full-time student, plus the director of this operation. But that's neither here nor there. That's going to be a good game. I hope to see some of it. The other thing I do want to touch on, we have neglected completely the top teams in college football and also the landscape, right? You take a look at, and this is interesting. There were proposals in the offseason, Ian, to go to 16 teams, 4 guaranteed bids for the Big Ten, 4 guaranteed bids for the SEC. If you had 4 guaranteed bids for the Big Ten this year, I don't know what you'd be doing because there's only 3 teams that I see that are worth it. There isn't a 4th Big Ten team, which is interesting. You've got Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. Everybody else stinks. And that includes Iowa. I know they were close, but I don't trust them.
USC?
And I know you're from Iowa, Dreamweaver. USC, no.
Michigan?
No.
There's just a few other.
They're not any
teams.
good.
Iowa?
No.
You don't think any of these teams
They're
are
not
playoff?
No, I don't.
You can make like arguments for like Iowa is kind of a good team, not super good, but like realistically,
Every time you watch Iowa, it sets football back 30 years.
Exactly. Realistically, like probably 10 of the 16 teams. Wait, right now it's 12.
It's still 12.
Yeah, so realistically, like
they're only getting 3.
8 of the 12 teams, they're gonna get bounced in the first round by like 20 points.
Yep.
There's really only like I heard a quote: only 8 teams in the NFL can win the Super Bowl each year.
Yeah.
The rest are just playing for the playoffs. So like, you can make these. Oh, we were the 13th team. We deserve to get in for 12th. You're not gonna win the national championship. There's only like 4 teams in college football that can realistically win the national championship.
Yeah.
So as big as
who are the 4?
As big as it gets. Where right now I think Ohio State, Indiana.
You do think Indiana is one of the 4?
I think so. They showed. Yeah, they showed a lot
of. To me, go ahead.
They showed a lot of like the first time they were tested obviously was with Penn State.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oregon. Yeah.
And
the first time they tested was Oregon. Yeah, on the road. But I think they showed a lot of like fight. It's tough to get excited for a game at Penn in Indiana when you're like when you know that you should win. So I think they showed a lot of fight, but They did have me worried for a little bit, but yeah.
To me, there's 6, right? And I'm not reinventing the wheel. It's really the top 6. And unfortunately, I do think the Big 12 is good. The Big 12 is light years ahead of the ACC this year. By far the 3rd best conference in college football. So that is important for mention. But they're still behind the Big 10 and definitely behind the SEC. To me, I've got 7, excuse me. Ohio, if you're going to include Indiana, you've got 7. Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, which Ethan likes.
I love A&M.
Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Oregon. Texas Tech is probably where you draw the line.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame, I wouldn't think so. Texas, Oklahoma, I don't believe in them particularly.
I don't either.
But I mean, I think that top 11 is where we are right now. Now the interesting thing, and I was saying this, and I have to be honest, Dreamweaver, I said this, and people made faces on our shows a couple weeks ago. I mentioned Oklahoma. I mentioned Texas. I mentioned one other SEC team that I think is Tennessee. I said there's one of these 3 teams is going to make a run and be justifying a case late. Which one's it going to be? I don't know. But Texas and Oklahoma, both of them are now right there on the bubble.
Yeah, and they're playing good football.
Texas
too.
especially looks good. Now, I don't know, Archie Manning has really changed it. I mean, you want to talk about a roller coaster. Beginning of the year, Heisman, 3 weeks in, everybody's out. Now they're kind of coming back, right? He's playing well.
Like,
they're winning.
he's playing some good
So
football.
Texas is interesting. The game to watch there, I mentioned Bears and Niners in the NFL for impactful game. Texas A&M at the end of the year. That's it's going to be bigger for Texas. It's bigger for Texas than it is A&M because A&M probably is going to be in before that.
Nonetheless,
game
this week's game, which we'll talk about more on Friday's show, Texas, Georgia in Georgia. That's a huge game for Texas.
Yeah,
and by the
way, it's not a small game for Georgia. You're talking about Georgia, and I did have Georgia against Mississippi State, a pick nobody liked except me. I got grief for that one, Dream.
Yeah, I said you were going to get
9.5. They won
because
by
it was
20.
9.5.
But
Mississippi State hasn't been.
And by the way, they blew them out.
Team.
It was not as close as the score suggests, and it was a 20-point victory. But that's neither here nor there. Georgia, big game. If they lose, you're talking about 2 losses with still some season to go. That may be a tough spot. Ole Miss looks really good. Ole Miss
they look like one of the best offenses in football.
Yeah. So Dreamweaver, tell me, who of all that we're mentioning these teams, which one do you think is the scariest? I mean, you said you kind of like you think Indiana is up there, A&M is playing well, SEC, couple that are intriguing, but there's got to be one that's kind of setting themselves apart.
I think the defending champs are a wagon, and I think that they're gonna ride it at least until the national championship. They just have so many good players on offense and defense.
Yeah.
Julian Sain has played good, and they just have so many weapons on offense, and it's really, I think, a credit to the coaching and Ryan Day and the defensive coordinator to have the defense play. I know they gave up like 10 points, which is like one of the most points they've gave up all season. But it's really hard for players to get excited about games when they know that the offense is going to score enough points to win. So it's really impressive how they've shut out most teams or basically allowed no points most of the season. It's just they practice hard. I heard Ryan Day say they still have Bloody Tuesdays at their practice. So they just play really hard, and I think that they're going to make a run at least to the national championship, if not win it.
I have a problem believing in Ohio State still. Now, I know they won the national championship last year, but they still have this little bit of a James Franklin kind of element. I know he was the Penn State coach, but in a big game, I just don't believe that they're going to come through. I really don't. And we're going to find out, because I'll tell you what I'm excited for is Indiana is probably going to be the one to play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, and that's going to be interesting, right? Because a lot of people think Indiana is overinflated, and I tend to think Ohio State is overinflated as well, but one of them is going to come out, superior, and that'll be compelling. You have to think Ohio State's going to be a 7-point favorite in that game, I would think, against Indiana.
Yeah, people just don't trust Indiana football teams.
Yeah.
Indiana and the Colts.
And the Colts.
Like,
You're right. That's a good point. And the Colts are such a bizarre team. I mean, killing everybody. Then they have 5 turnovers against Pittsburgh.
And then they go back to
a weird
looking like one of the better
weird Germany
offenses.
game against Atlanta.
Yeah, but Jonathan Taylor still looks like an unbelievable player for them.
All right, so Dreamweaver we've only got 2 minutes left here. He took the Philadelphia Eagles tonight. We don't know how that one's going to turn out yet. Kickoff in about.
We didn't even preview that.
Kickoff in about 15 minutes. Well, that's what we're going to do right now. We've got about 2 minutes. So Dreamweaver, you made the pick. Justify it, and what should we be looking for tonight between the Pack and the Eagles?
Kind of like I said earlier in the show, the Packers, you never know who you're going to get. It is Monday Night Football. It is a big game, but I just trust the Eagles more. They're off the bye week, and also it was way back in the offseason in May, or like way even before May, the Packers proposed for the tush push to be banned. So I think Nick Sirianni has a little spite, or a lot of spite in him, and I think that they're going to run that play quite a bit and run the tush push down the tush of the Packers and really stick it to the Packers. I think the Eagles are the better team, and I think that the Eagles will pull out a victory here on the Packers in Green Bay.
Isn't A.J. Brown back tonight for them as well? Yeah,
so
that's a big
I have one more question before we sign off here. So I know that Ethan is from Houston. He is a Texans fan. Everybody, if you don't know, I'm a Jets fan. You're living under a rock, right? You're from Iowa City. I know I asked you. I can't remember. Remind me your team in the NFL. You're not a Packers fan.
No, my team is the Eagles.
Oh, you're an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
Oh,
so we got a homer pick.
This is a homer pick.
So that's part of it, but I don't know. I still think, even if I wasn't an Eagles fan, I still think that they're gonna win.
Now I'm going back in the archives here. Now Dreamweaver, he only took the Eagles many weeks ago. It was when they played against who would this have been here?
I try not to take the Eagles because I'm like a lot of fans. Like I haven't been able to really trust them. Like sometimes their offense looks really good and then they have horrible halves like against Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
But I trust them this week.
You took them about 4 weeks ago. They were a 2.5-point favorite.
Yeah, I'm very different with my homer
picks. Do you recall who that
picks.
may have been against? No, I'm sorry for making you guess.
I can look.
What are we?
It was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. This is the last time, and he was right. He took Philly, right? I want to say it was about 3 weeks ago. They were a 2.5-point favorite. I don't have who they beat. Oh, it was the Vikings.
Beat the Vikings, yeah.
That was a good pick.
I think that was the week that
you just go against the Vikings all the time. It sounds like.
Yeah, that was the week. I think that AJ Brown was upset, so they fed him the ball a lot,
and that worked out very well.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if they feed him the ball tonight against a good Packer defense and a good Packer team on the road. Thank you so much for joining us on a Monday. Remember,
little different.
The rundown, a little different. I liked it. I thought it went well.
I did too.
The rundown will be back on Friday at 1 o'clock.
And hopefully Monday next week, too.
And hopefully Monday next week at the same time, same place. 1570 AM, Cam Student Radio.
You know where to find us.